Ah, good evening, everyone. Um, so today is day 2 of our webinar. Seems everybody's busy though. Please, if you can hear me, drop me some comments or drop me some comments in the chat box. Let me know that you can hear me loud and clear. If you can hear me clearly, please drop me some comments in the chat box. Let me know that you can hear me. All right, all right. Mr. Olawale, thank you. Muhammad, thank you. Anix cuisine. Okay, all right, all right, all right. So let me greet everybody, especially Olawale, you're welcome. Ananix, you're welcome. Troops, it's good to have you. Jeff, it's nice having you. Fatoki, well done. Muhammad, I greet you specially. My namesake. It's good to have you also. Um, so thank you. Okay, you can hear me, but it's not that loud. I'm going to shout though. You people want me to shout. Okay, so I would really like that we get started almost immediately, but there are just 12 of us in here at the moment. I feel like we can be much better than this. We can get a more fuller house than this. So what do we do, guys? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? 5 minutes grace. Chidera just joined us. You're welcome. Somebody said we should give 5 minutes grace. All right, let's see. Let's see what we can do in the next 5 minutes. All right, then. But then in the next 5 minutes, too, let's just go on that WhatsApp group and let me tell them that we've started. We are in class already. So, guys, so you help me do that. Let's just go on that WhatsApp group and drop that reminder. Let them know that class has started. It's not African time. We said 7 o'clock, and we are here by 7. Martha, you're welcome. Godwin, I see your thumbs up. Pete, you're welcome also. So my namesake want us to do a recap of yesterday. So I will let one of you unmute so you guys can do a recap of what we did yesterday for us, right? So who wants to do a recap of yesterday for us? Drop it in the comments that you want to do it, then I'll let you unmute so you can. Just tell us what you give us an overview of what we did yesterday. I'll just call somebody randomly. I remember. Carrie's economics was here yesterday. I saw you very well. You want to unmute and tell us, give us a recap of yesterday's class? Oh, my namesake, is it you wants to unmute? I think I also remember Muhammad was in this class yesterday. Who wants to do a recap for us now? Okay, I'm gonna call names. So Trooks, I see your hand is up. So please go ahead and unmute.
Good evening, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good evening.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can. Good evening.
Let's just do a little. We're able to catch yesterday. We started with what data is, and that data means nothing unless you're able to make use of it. And for you to do that, you need to store the data for use. From there, I also said there are categories of data: primary, secondary, qualitative, quantitative, structured, and unstructured. And now, further went to give us visuals, which were used to analyze the insight that is emanating from your visuals. Later, I now define what data analysis is, which is the process of extracting insight for decision making. Let me stop here.
I really feel this is top notch. You actually were in class yesterday, so well done, well done, well done, well done. I was actually thinking you just tell me some random information, but it seems everything you actually mentioned was exactly what we did in class yesterday, except probably you were going to to steal from the slide I shared in the class. But if that is not the case, wow, you really did well. All right, so anybody want to share with us what he or she learned in the class yesterday? All right, Muhammad, do you want to go first? So nobody else wants to try. Okay, anybody else? Just unmute and go ahead and tell us what you learned.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, I've actually learned that data analysis is not about what you think, but it's about what the data is saying. Sometimes you can just say because of what your own brain. Okay, this is how it looks. It might be different from what the data is interpreting. So data analysis is real. Whenever you are expressing or you are analyzing it, it must be according to what the data is saying. That's what I learned yesterday.
God bless you. Right. I really love that, right? Um, quite a lot of us, or generally, usually, we sometimes have a bias towards whatever it is that we're doing. But then your bias can actually be debunked by your data, and you're not careful, you'll be carried away by the bias. You feel like, okay, so I think this is it. But then if your data is saying the opposite, you just need to go ahead with what your data is actually saying. It's not about what you think, it's not about what you think you know. It's about what the facts and figures that you have in front of you that you have analyzed. Because if you as an analyst do not trust your data, how do you expect your audience to trust your data or to even trust you at all? All right, so I love that. I love that. As a data analyst, you have to think critically before making decisions and look at every piece of information because it may be very important. All right. Okay, so I think we've spent enough time trying to wait for others. I think it's okay if we just get started right now. So I'm going to take a moment to just turn off the microphones for everybody. If you have questions, drop them in the chat box and I will try as much as possible to respond to them. So while let me just see if I can find my workbook and share. Um, 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 um. Oh, that heck. All right, so we have this is a random data, right? It's more or less for a store, and I think they are more into wholesales. So we'll try and see what kind of analysis we can do. We're not going to really do. We can't analyze everything, anyways. Okay, so this is a data right here, and it's in a table format, right? This data has been converted to a table, and that is just and to convert your data into a table, all you need to do is to open your data set. I think I've actually skipped that step. Okay, I'm going to zoom it in a little bit so you can see it clearly. How am I doing? So this is data set we will be working with. And from this particular data set, when I ask a dashboard from this data set, and then from this dashboard, you can just, it gives you an overview of what you have from the original data. Now, I must say this for a fact, not every data that you analyze must end up in a dashboard. You can analyze your data and then you have it as a data that you analyze, you can have it as just a table. Hello, sorry, please, everyone. I see somebody said my call is breaking. Can you hear me, or is it a general thing? If you can hear me clearly, please just drop it in the comments for me. Ah, sorry, I think you guys will have to pardon me. It's looking like I'm having a really poor network today. It's looking like the network is really poor today, but I'll try as much as possible to, I don't even know what to do, and I'm trying to switch between networks. But let's pardon me. At the moment you guys stop hearing me, just let me know again in the comments, or just let me know. I would we'll try and see if we can find a way. All right, so here is where we are. We have this dashboard right here, and I was saying one of the reasons why we visualize our data in a dashboard is because for people, for your audience to easily be able to pick out the most important part of your data. And then I also mentioned that all of your data do not necessarily, or all of your analysis do not necessarily have to end up in a dashboard. Sometimes it ends up as a chart in your PowerPoint slide, right? And some other times it ends up as just your numbers. Sometimes it ends up as a table, right? It doesn't necessarily all the time have to end up in a dashboard. We will not say your analysis is not complete if you did not design a dashboard. That is not true. So, but then with a dashboard, it gives you an overview of everything that really pertains to the data. Okay, so we'll try and see how we can create something similar to some of these. We'll just pick one or two charts from here and see how we can generate this from the data that we have. Okay, and on this dashboard, you have a column for revenue generated, profits generated, and costs incurred relative to revenue. If you look at this, you also realize that for the donut chart that you have at the top, these charts are called donut charts, right? The cycles are not complete, and that's because we are comparing it to something. For example, on the first part of the chart, this place where you have 4,160,000, we are comparing revenue generated relative to our projection for the year, right? And so when we compared it, we realized that we were 83% near the projection. We did not get there. We are short by 17%, right? And here we compared profits generated relative to the projection also, and we realized that our profit is about 73% near the mark. So we are short of about 27% or so, right? And our cost, we actually looked at cost relative to revenue, and we can see that our cost is about 65% of our total revenue. That's on this part of the KPIs on the chart, right? And then if you come this way, we just have a total summary of the orders that were made. A total of 1,548 orders were made, and this side gives us quantity sold and average. Right on this other side, you have your average order value. You also have your profit margin, which is about 35%. Remember, your cost incurred relative to revenue is about 65%. Subtract that from 100, you should have 35%, which is also your profit margin. And so you have all of these other parts. So enough of my stories about this dashboard. Let's go ahead and see how we can create something like this from the table that we have. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this. And so from this table, I want to click inside the table, and I want to go to table design, and I want to select summarize with pivot table. Summarize with pivot table, and I am going to leave all of this the way it is, and then select OK. Now we have a pivot table on this side. Let me zoom this in so you can see clearly also. All right. So one of the few things we want to do is to find our total revenue. What is our total revenue? Now, on this side of the pivot table, you have your fields, right? You have each of the columns that you have in that table. You have it stacked on this side. You have order ID, customer name, product, shipped, revenue, cost, profit, order date, ship date, order status, and dates, the day name. And on this side of the pivot table, or this bottom right corner, you have the fields, 4 different fields. You have the filter section, you have the column section, you have the value section, and you have the row section. Please, are we still together? All right. So we are still together. The first step, you want to convert your table into a pivot table. You select the table, go to your you select the table, go to table design, and then summarize it with pivot table. So that was how we got here anyways. So back here, what we want to do is to find our revenue. So how do you find your revenue? Now, how do you first of all use these 4 fields that you have here, the filter, the column, the values, and the row? How do you make use of them? For your filter section, if you have a data set that you analyze, that you want to analyze, or that you're analyzing, and you want to filter them by certain criteria, you want to drag your values, your columns from here, right? You want to click on it, drag it, and drop it in the filter section. Now, if you want to arrange your data, you want to view them by column, something like this, right? You want to drag your data into the column section right here. And then if you want your values, your data to be in rows like this, right? You want to also drag your columns, that's your data right here. Your data right here, you want to drag them into the rows section. Now, those values that you want to see, those content that you actually want to count, you want to summarize, you want to add up, you want to subtract, you want to perform mathematical operations on, you want to drag them and put them in the value section. We'll take a quick example, a quick look at some of these things before we go. So now we want to actually find our total revenue. How do I find my total revenue? I want to drag my revenue and drop it in the value section. And you can see automatically I have my sum of revenue, which is 404,160,850. Now, if you look at this, this is a very nice value, but then it is very difficult to read. You can even see when I was trying to read it, I was having troubles reading it. That's because it is not formatted the right way. So how do you format it? Right, you can right click on this and go to number format. And then you want to select maybe currency, right? Currency on this side, you can see the preview, and you have 2 decimal places. For me, I don't want the decimals. That's for me. So I want to take out the decimals and leave it at 0 and select OK. And you can see that automatically I now have my revenue value right here, which is about 4 million. Now we're done with the revenue. I want to make a duplicate of this pivot table and I want to put it here. So I'm going to do a copy and paste, right? I'm going to paste this and put it right here. And now I don't want revenue in the new one. What do I want? Let's assume I want cost. So I'm going to click on cost and drag it in the value section. Now that I have my cost in the value section, what do I want to do with it again? I want to format it the right way so that people who is looking at it can easily read it. So I'm going to click on the pivot table, which is sum of costs. I'm going to go to Home tab. This is now the second method of formatting this. I want to go to the Home tab and I want to change my number format from here and select currency. Right, and you can see automatically I have my Naira symbol and then my commas. Now I also don't want to have decimal places. I want to take out the decimal places. I want to select this one to reduce the decimals, and so I have my cost as 2.7 million. So how do you go ahead and finalize some of these arrangements? You want to continue, right? Let's go ahead and find somebody said my toolbar is not visible. Is that true? Please, is that true for everybody? Okay, so somebody said not from inside, so that means it can see it clearly. Please, if you can see, okay. So I want to guess it's just one person who is not seeing it clearly from his end. I can't zoom it in much more than what we have at the moment because that's the default view of Microsoft Excel. So I can't zoom that in. So, but then just try and follow along. So for my cost, I want to also find my profits. And what I want to do right now is to make a duplicate of my pivot table. So I'm going to select cost, highlight it, do a copy, and come down here and paste it there. It's still displaying sum of cost, but I don't want to see cost. I actually want to see profits. I am going to select inside that pivot table and drag profits into the value section. And right now I have my profits. Right. So now we have been able to find the 3 major KPIs for my dashboard. Beyond that, what do I now want to do? What do I want to do? What do I want to see? I want to see my profits based on customers, right? I have customers. I want to see the kind of profits that they generate for me. So I'm going to make a copy of my pivot table again. And all I'm doing is to do a copy and paste of the pivot table. And in this case, I don't want to just see the profit. I want to see my profit by customer, right? My profit by customer. So I'm going to select customer name I'm going to click on customer name, drag it down to the row section, and you can see that I have a list of my customers on this side. I have a list of my customers on this side. So how do I now find my profit? We want to drag profit into the value section, right? Remember that I said the other time, anything that involves calculation that you can perform mathematical operations on, you want to drag them into the value section. Okay, so now for each of these customers, I can see the total amount of profit that they generate. Now, if you look at the grand total on this side, 1456 is the same thing as my total profit on this side, right? My total profit here is the same thing as my total profit right here. Am I going too fast, please? Am I going too fast? Should I attempt to explain this all over again? Hmm. Some people are saying I'm going too fast. Some people are saying it's okay. Okay, so I'm going to take a moment to explain all over again. But I'm not going to start from the beginning. I'm just going to explain this pivot table section so you can understand it. So when you bring in your pivot table, you have something like this, right? You have a blank pivot table like this. Now, if you look at it, it's saying to build a report, choose fields from the pivot table field list. And this is the field list, right? Now, anything you put, you can just click on this. If you click on this, any of these value, any of these check boxes, it's going to try and Microsoft Excel is going to try and automatically place them in any of these 4 fields right here. Right? And most of the time it is correct, but sometimes it's not really the way you want it. So alternatively, like that, you want to do a drag and drop. Let's click on it, drag it to where you want it to be, and drop it. Now, anything you put in the row section right here, this one here, anything you put there will be arranged in your pivot table like this, right? It will be arranged like this. Now, anything you place in the column section will be arranged like this at the top like this. And we're going to take a few examples of those. Now, anything you put in the value section, this place right here, this is the value section. You're telling Microsoft Excel that this content, I want you to perform mathematical operations on it. Either for you to count it, either for you to multiply it, either for you to like that. You're telling Excel that anything in this value section should be you want it to do a little bit of calculations on it. Now, if you take a look at this value section, you see this summation symbol or sigma symbol, whatever you want to call it. Right? It's showing that values here, content here, can be added My apologies. It's like the network is really dealing with me today. Please, if you can hear me and you can see my screen, let me know in the comments that you can hear me and you can see my screen. Once again, I apologize for that. All right, thank you, Briggs. Thank you. All right, so we'll just continue. So right now we have been able to drag our customer name into row section, and you can see that it has tagged them in rows, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7, row 8, up to row number 11. So what we want to do right now is to now bring in our profit. So if I select profits, it automatically adds the profits to the value section because it is numbers that can be calculated. It automatically drags it to the profit section. And what we now want to do, we can now say this is the amount of profit generated by each customer. Now, let's now assume I'm going to create another pivot table by just copying and pasting this, right? I'm just doing a copy and paste of that. And what I want to do this time, I don't want customer name, right? I want to see the profit by the timeline, right? Which is the order date. Say in January, how much profit did I make? In February, how much profit did I make? In March, how much profit? In things like that. I'm gonna put in my profits right there, and you can see what it looks like. This is what the profit generally looks like. So I have my months on the row section, which is this, and I have my profit on the value section. What if I also want to see the profit I generated by the day? How do I do something like that? Right? You want to do the same thing, just pick your pivot table, do a copy and paste, and say on Sunday, how much profit did I make? On Monday, how much profit did I make? Look on the field section right here. You have a day name in the data set. So I'm just going to bring that into the value section, and you can see what it looks like. Now, let's quickly try and see if we can visualize some of these contents that we have here. You want to select your pivot table, right? The one you want to visualize. Go to your pivot table, go to pivot table analyze. I want to select pivot chart. And so you can see a list of charts on this side that you can use. Go ahead and choose a chart that you so desire or that you so like, and then select OK. Now, basically, what you want to do is to make sure that you remove the unnecessary content that may be distraction in your chart. Like sum of profits, it's not making any sense. Once you remove that, I'm going to right click on this and say hide all field buttons on charts. Once I select that, it is gone. And since the only thing I'm visualizing right here is profit, I don't need this value, this label right here. I want to delete this one by right clicking on it or clicking it and pressing delete. And now for my total, it doesn't make any complete. What total is it? I want to rename the title and say profit generated by day of week. So that will be the title of my chart. And so anybody who is looking at this chart will know exactly what it is that we have here. Right? In here we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, down to Saturday. So it knows exactly what each bar stands for. And each of those bars stands for the profits that we generate by each of those day of week. So here is one chart right here. I'm just going to resize that and put it in a corner. Okay. So let me not really put it in a corner. Let me take it straight to where I want it to be on my dashboard, right? I'm going to cut this. How do you cut it? You can right click on the chart and you see cut, then you can go to where your dashboard is. Right, so right now I actually just prepared a predefined template that I want to use for this class. Normally you don't work with predefined templates. You don't work with predefined templates. You are the one who define your template, who shapes your templates and decide what you want to look like. But because I know we cannot finish it, and because I know that we cannot finish this in this class, that was the reason why I just bring in this template. So you design your template yourself. How do you create your template? You create it yourself. These are just random shapes, right? We did a class previously on shapes. These are just random shapes that you style, or you go to PowerPoint to create your styled template if you so want some kind of fancy design. I can actually share the templates with you guys. I can actually share the template with you guys if you want to need it. If you need it, right? No problem with that. I can share the template with you guys. But like I said, the goal of the class is not for you to be using an existing template. It is for you to learn how to create a template. So, so we're going to be learning that much later on, right? So then we'll just bring in the chart and put it here. So I'm going to paste what I copied, which is the chart. And I can bring it in and drop it on this template right here. Then resize it the way I want it to be. Now, I understand that some of these things do not really make much sense, right? But then that's okay. That's fine. Like I said, I can still share this template with you if you so need it. It's not a big deal. Right? I actually created it. And you will also learn how to create the templates yourself also. So once you have your chart in here, one of the things you want to do is to style the chart to make sure that it fits in perfectly into your template. And you want to select the chart. And one of the few things you want to do is go to format and you see shape fill. You want to say no fill, right? You want to go to shape outline and you want to say no outline. Now, once you do that, you can see that your chart is looking almost the same thing as the background. For the grid lines, you may want to leave it or you may want to remove it. That is your choice. These lines in here are called, inside the chart are called grid lines. So if you desire to leave it, no problem. If you desire to remove it, no problem also. It's your choice, it's your decision. But most times, you really do not want to keep much grid lines, as it could be seen as noise if it's too much. So, but then for this class, we'll just leave it this way. And let me bring in one more chart from our pivot table. Let me bring in one more chart from our pivot table. Now let's see our revenue, our profit by customers. Our profit by customer. I'm going to my pivot table analyze, and I want to select pivot chart. Right? And you can also see that this is another bar chart. I'm going to just leave the bar chart the way it is. We're going to use that bar chart. The same thing you did the other time. You want to remove any noise that you have on your dash, on your chart. I'm going to hide all field buttons. I want to remove this total label. It is not compulsory, or it is not every time you're going to be removing that total label, please. But for this chart, it is not compulsory, or it is not necessary that is there. Once you are able to give it a very nice title, then it can cover for the total that we have on that side, the one that we removed. So I can say profit generated by customer. So we can see each of our customers right here. Now, as a principle or as a rule, if you have data like this, you want to sort it in order, right? You want to sort it in order of the values. So Either you sort it ascending to descending order or descending to ascending order. That is your choice. But you want to really sort it out. So easily your audience can pick out which customer is bringing in the most profits, which customer is bringing in the least profit without having to crack their brain. So to sort it, I want to right click on my pivot table. I'm coming. Let me just work on this chart. I would answer that question. And I want to say sort this by largest to smallest. Now you are selecting that column that contains profit. And then you sort it. Then you have something like this. Then I will cut this and take it back to my dashboard. So if I bring it in here, where do I want to keep it? Let me keep it on this side. And the same thing we did the other time. I want to remove the background color and the borders. I'm going to select shape fill, no shape fill, shape outline, no shape outline. And easily this way, I can see for this customer, you can see the kind of, you can see the way it is done. All right. So let me just quickly take one questions. I'll just take one or two questions from here, then because I actually have another class in the next 20 or 30 minutes, and then we can call it a wrap on this side. Okay, so is it possible to group all the charts and move it to the template at once? It is possible. Yes, it is possible to group all the charts together and move it at once. But I don't know what good is going to do for you, except probably it's going to confuse you more. But it is possible. All you need to do is hold your control key and click on each of those charts to select them. Then once you selected all the charts, you want to do a Control plus X to cut and the Control plus V on your dashboard, right, to do a paste. Then once you pasted them, you now begin to move them and place them inside your template the way you want it to be. Okay, one more question. How to insert slicers and connect all charts? Okay, so that is really simple. What you want to do is to go to, let me see if I can select a slicer. So if I select this chart, I want to go to pivot table analyze, and you can see insert a slicer. So my slicer, let me see my slicer a customer name, and I say okay. Right, so now I have a list of all the customers right here. This is my list of customers, and you can see if I select this, it filters my data for me. So a slicer is more or less like a filter that you use to filter your data set. I can see that as I click on it, profit generated by day of week is adjusting respectively, but this other pivot table is not responding. So what do you do? What do you do to do that? You want to right click on your slicer. I want to select report connection. Once you select report connection, you have something like this. And what you want to do is to select all your pivot table that you want your slicer to affect. Anyone that you don't want your slicer to control, you will not check it. But any other chart that you want your slicer to affect, you are going to mark it. And you can see that both charts right now is being controlled by my slicer. So that's basically how you do something like that. No, so for this other question, this is not Power BI. This is Microsoft Excel. And so basically, this is where I want to stop at this point. Just like I said the other time, I still have one more class that I'm supposed to take. Right? But before we go, I would take some questions from the house, and we'll see about some of these, how we can actually continue and improve on this lesson today, right? So, but before we do that, I want to quickly share some things with you, and then we're going to take some questions. So, I want to believe that everybody right there has interest in becoming a data analyst. But here's the big question. How would you want to become a data analyst, right? What would you like to do? There are actually two methods by which you can become a data analyst. And one of the first steps is for you to actually learn this on your own. And the next step is for you to have somebody hold you by the hand, right? It's for you to have somebody hold you by the hand and teach you step by step how to do all of these things over and over again. And so because of this, especially for those, now this is for those who actually have interest in learning this, and they want somebody to actually hold them by the hand. And they want somebody to hold them by the hand. We have a class where we actually teach Excel and Power BI in detail. Right? You'll be learning introduction to Excel interface, introduction to the Power BI interface. We'll be talking about some basic function in Excel and Power BI. We'll be learning about data preparation and Power Query, which all of these things, we did not talk about them in this class, right? Because of the short time. Definitely, we really cannot talk about all of this in this 1 hour, 20 minutes or 2-hour class. We'll be talking about data visualizations. We'll be talking about creating your chart and your graph, best practices for visualization. We'll be talking about some data analysis techniques, summarization and aggregation, conditional formatting, pivot tables, and pivot charts. What we've just done this night is for us to just scratch the surface. We've not done anything meaningful or anything serious at all, right? I want to talk about data modeling and dashboard. We'll be talking about how you can create data models, how you can build dashboards. We would also go further to talk about array formulas, how you can use your index match functions with Excel. We'll also be looking at how you can use named ranges and references. Then we'll talk about data storytelling. Like I said earlier, every data has its own story. And so how do you identify this story? How do you communicate the story? Those are some of the things we'll be looking at in Microsoft in this class later on. And eventually, if you're in this class, you are going to have a final project. We are going to be having a final project in this class. So this class is actually about 10 weeks of learning. This class are actually about 10 weeks of learning. You have 3 hours per week of learning, 1 hour on Friday. I told you I have another class in the next 20-30 minutes. I need to engage with some of my students then. And then we have a 2 hours class on Saturdays, every Saturdays and every Fridays. You also go with weekly practice questions and then questions, presentations, question and answer and weekly presentations. Then you also get access to weekly recordings via mail if you want. Now, to get access to some of these things, for example, for our Microsoft Excel beginner to pro class, basically it is worth about 45,000 naira. Our data cleaning class with Power Query about 40,000 naira. Now, if you want to learn about data modeling, how do you shape your data with Power BI or with Power BI, basically, it costs about 25,000. And what does even the class on Power BI cost? About 20,000. We'll be talking about DAX queries and DAX functions. A lot of people do not really talk about this in tutorials. All right. You want to be able to perform operations using DAX queries. You want to be able to look at the DAX functions, talk about your year-to-date profits. If you want to compare your profit last year as against profit of this year, how do you go about that in Power BI? You want to do something like that. You want to know You want to work on fiscal years. If you have, for example, in some organizations, their year starts in July and ends in June. For some organizations, their year starts in September and starts in October and ends in September. So some people, January to December. So it's different. So how do you do some of those calculations? In that, you're going to be learning some of those things. Also, you'll be getting a personalized dashboard with access to recordings and practice questions alongside with assignments. And like I said earlier, it is about 10 weeks and you get 30 hours, which is about 30 hours of practical class. Imagine that you sit me down now for 30 hours. We are just discussing and learning how to do some of these things. And I can tell you for a fact that is a class of immense value. We also talk about AI for data analysts, right? And at the end of the day, you would also get a certification. And all of this totaling together, it costs to about 317,000. But can I ask you to pay 317,000? I can't see that. But then you can get a steal from us at this moment because our current price is about 50,000. And yes, I told you already, I have a class that I'm about to take in the next, by 8:30, I should be in that class. So our current price is about 50,000. But then I want to do something for those of you in this class right now, right? Even though we are not much, so this is something I really believe it's going to be benefits. It's going to benefit quite a number of people right there, right now. So we're giving a discounted price of 30,000 naira for this course today. For the first 15 students, I'm even thinking of slashing this 15 students since we are not much now. Probably we'll just go with the first 5 students. We'll give a discounted price of 30,000 naira or 330 Ghana cedis. This is all you have to pay right now if you're joining this class. You don't have to pay 50,000. You don't have to pay 317,000 naira. Now, this discounted price has a lifeline. For the first 5 students alone, this one is no longer 15 students because there are not even many in this class. For the first 5 students, they can go ahead and make a payment of 30,000 naira. And in our live class, like I told you, it's a discounted offer. The first 20 students get a bonus, right? You also get a fully unlocked Microsoft Office 2019. You'll also be learning how to create data collection forms. As an analyst, you want to be able to collect data from your audience, from your students, from whatever it is. You will also be learning some of these things. We'll also be talking about LinkedIn optimization for job seekers or for you who wants to, start to relate with international clients. We will also be getting something in that direction. I'll also be teaching you how to create a portfolio for your prospective clients, right? All of this put together, you are getting it for a steal of just 30,000 naira or 330 Ghana cedis. You can access this course right now or make payments for this class right now on Seller. And you can see our website on your screen at the moment, seller.co//733133. Just punch that on your screen right now, seller.co/733133. Just go ahead and use that website. If you are booking these seats right now, the first 5 students, I know they do 15 students or 20 students again, we are taking just the first 5 students on this discounted price. So if that is you want to take this offer right now, go ahead and use the link. Okay. And so in our classes, this is just to give you a glimpse of what it looks like. You can see some of the reviews that we have, right? We get to, I told you we give assignments. Now, if you give you an assignment and you submit it, this is an example of the kind of review we give, right? When you submit your assignment, your tutor takes time to look at it and to make comments on it to help you ensure that you improve on whatever designs that you have or whatever it is that you have done for the week. So you can just go ahead and take a brief look at some of these reviews. All right. And so whatever it is you're doing in this class, no before mouth. We are actually giving a money back guarantee that at the end of this class, at the end of these 10 weeks, if you feel like you have been cheated, you did not get value for your money, you are unable to analyze data, you are unable to visualize data, you are unable to create beautiful and stunning dashboards, just reach out to any of us and give us proof that you have attended all the 10 lectures, the 10 weeks of lectures, and you attempted all of the assignments that you're given. We will tender you an apology for wasting your time and give you a full refund of your money. We will give you a full refund of your money. So basically, this is what you get in this class. So right now, I would like to take questions. If there's anybody that has a question from this class right now, if you have a question, please just raise your hand. I would like to take questions. I would like to take questions. If you have a question, if you have a question right now, please just show your hand.
Okay, what's the mode of payment? Can it be
All right.
paid like 2 or 3 times?
Payments can be done in 2 installments, only 2 installments, please.
Okay. That's fine. That's okay.
All right. I see Mr. Akorede has his hand up. You can go ahead and unmute, please. Or is he not online? Do we take somebody else? Mr. John, do you have a question? Okay, it seems he's also not online. What about Faith? Is it Mrs. Faith or Miss Faith? Do you have a question
Hello.
also?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah. Please, I want to confirm the cost of the training.
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Does 30,000 cover everything? Or there's
Hello,
a
can you hear me? Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, please say it again, please.
Can you hear me? I said you are giving an option of 5 students paying immediately 30,000 naira. Is it going to cover everything, the Power BI, the data analyst, and everything to become a
There is
data analyst?
there
So
is no there is no hidden charges, so there is no hidden charges. The 30,000 naira covers everything as it relates to Microsoft Excel and Power BI as a data analyst. You will be getting your video tutorials, everything, including access to our 10 weeks of live lectures.
okay. So the opportunity is open now. Once I pay, everything will be covered.
Everything is covered. There is no hidden charges.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, I think I had to mute Mr. John the other time. Please, you can go ahead and unmute.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. So, first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for today's lesson. And this is my question. So, what's the period for the training? Um, that is one, and and also the mode of payment.
All right. So the training is a 10.
Hello.
The training is a 10 weeks event.
Okay.
It covers a period of 10 weeks, and actually a session, a batch is starting today. Please, can you mute yourself if there's noise from your end? Can you stay muted, please? All right. So a batch is actually starting today, and they are the ones I actually want to go and have a discussion with. We're having a mini orientation later in about 20 minutes. So we'll be starting today over the next 10 weeks, so you can actually also join the batch. Now, means of payment, you can actually pay via our website so that you have instant access to your learning dashboard. And I think Israel has dropped the link to the website in the comment. And you also have the link on your screen right now, https:// seller.co /733133. That is the link to make payment. So I hope that answers your question. Any more questions?
Yeah, and thank you. So, is there any certification?
Yes, you get a certificate after the class.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, another question I want to ask is it only via the website we can pay? Can we pay through other channels?
Are you Nigerian?
Yes.
Okay. We'll provide you with an alternative payment method. Please just send me a DM on WhatsApp, please.
I'll do that.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else with a question? Mr. Abdullah, I see your hands up.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I want to ask if Microsoft Excel and Power BI is enough to make someone the data analyst.
Obviously and definitely. But then, if you want to learn further skills, you want to add SQL, you want to add Python, you want to add R, you want to add Tableau, there are quite a number of softwares out there that you can use. But then, two basic and two major softwares that is common all around Excel and Power BI. Like I said yesterday, I work with an INGO, and even for international donors, our data are analyzed and visualized using Power BI. Donors like USAID, so you can know that it's not. How do I put it now? It's not as if you have or we are talking about software that are not relevant, right? So there are major softwares that you can use. But then, if you want to broaden your skill, you want to learn more, go ahead and add SQL, go ahead and add Python, go ahead and add R, go ahead and add Tableau to your skill set. But then I want to also say this. How do I put it now? You cannot, in fact, trying to squeeze in Excel and Power BI into 10 weeks time frame. It's really a difficult one, right? It's not something you can, except you're putting in 6 hours every day to learn it. It's not something you can really learn in 2 days and say you come out of it. Then now add to it when you're talking about some of these other software that actually involves writing programming languages. It's much more difficult and it takes more time. So that's it anyways. Briggs, I see your hands up. Do you have a question also? Okay, so if there is no more question, or probably I think I've answered all the questions. If you have a question, please go.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I said, is there an alternative way to make payments apart from the link you sent?
Okay, I think we'll drop it on WhatsApp. You see it in the group.
Okay, and the classes, the online classes, when? Is it only on weekends?
Yes, only on weekends, Fridays and Saturdays. 1 hour on Friday, 2 hours on Saturdays.
Okay, Okay,
Because
and
at the same
this same
time, you
time,
have
7 p.m.
sorry, it is 8 p.m.
8
So
p.m.
we're actually
Fridays and
looking to see,
Saturdays.
yes.
Okay. All right.
All right. So anyone with questions, any further questions? So I guess it is safe to see all the hands that are up have actually asked questions in the past. So then I can definitely see this is where we draw the curtain for tonight's class. I will see you some other time in the group. So thank you, everyone. You can always reach out to me in the WhatsApp group or in my DM. Thank you, everyone. I will see you again.